4 years ago, he left Washington in disgrace, but looking at the reception he's received today, he has returned a conquering hero. Let's take a look at some of the day's highlights. Who wrote that? A conquering hero? Fucking hell. What's that? Snowflake? Me? Oh yeah, because 4 years ago when Biden won fair and square, all the MAGAs were all going, oh, I'm so sad. I know, let's go and hang Mike Pence. Who were the snowflakes then? Yeah? I once believed that Trump was a blip, a skid mark of history, and yet, as it turns out, did you see that Piers Morgan has suggested that Trump could win the Nobel Peace Prize? And he might be right. Because, you know, this administration, it's going to go for the big boys. Yeah, that famous axis of evil. Panama, Canada, the UK and Greenland. Yeah, he's considering taking the Panama Canal and Greenland by military force and annexing Canada, which is no different to how China talks about Taiwan or Putin about Ukraine. Pure despotism, if that's a word, bullying its own allies by either threatening invasion or crippling tariffs. Step in line or we will destroy you, with Musk mooting that America could liberate the Brits from their tyrannical government. That's after he called on our unelected monarch to mount a coup d'etat. And half the UK clapping like seals, going, well, I'd rather have a foreign invasion than Keir Starmer in number 10. I mean, we know that Trump and his billionaire minions don't respect their own democracy, so of course they treat everyone else's with contempt, unless of course they're right-wing populists, in which case, you know, from MAGA to MEGA. Make Europe great again. They love Maloney, they love Orbán, the AfD, which is as near to actual Nazis as the Germans have gone since, well, the Nazis. This should send a shiver down everyone's spine, but it doesn't. Why? Well, Labour cut winter fuel payments, so I think Elon Musk should decide who runs the country. The spectre of the richest man in the world trying to buy reform into government should give us all pause for thought, but it doesn't, does it? Why? Well, because Rachel Reeve is a twat. What happened? What happened? We lost. That's what happened. The left have lost. We've lost the argument. We've lost our relevance. We've lost the plot. The left have forgotten what being left-wing is, to the point where the left, we're not even on the left anymore. We've handed our natural territory to right-wing populists, right? When I was growing up, being left-wing was all about freedom of speech and free expression and bridging the gap between rich and poor. But then the left liberal elite decided en masse to abandon the class struggle and instead alleviated the guilt it felt every time it avoided eye contact with yet another homeless person by petitioning the local arts centre for gender-neutral toilets. The Democratic Party amazed that by abandoning the working classes abandoned them. And look at the Labour Party here. Labour. The clue is in the title, and yet they spent half of last year unable to define what a working person is. No wonder they are about as popular as a cancer diagnosis, with many of their natural supporters treating Nigel Farage like the second coming. When you concentrate on diversity quotas rather than crippling economic inequality and tokenistic socially progressive sticking plasters while completely ignoring the poverty-stricken, look what happens. American companies abandoning diversity, equity and inclusion wholesale, because now we see that the right have won the culture war, because the left have done nothing but try and win the culture war for well over a decade. Although Trump dancing with the village people has probably done more for the gay community than any diversity quota ever could, let's be honest. But when the left ignore people's genuine concerns over immigration for fear of seeming a bit racist, you get nasty, opportunistic populists enacting mass deportations. When the left abandon free speech, the right pick it up and they run with it. And then they own it. And then we get to a point where anyone can say anything about anyone and just label it free speech, where defamation laws are ignored by billionaire loudmouths. Free speech, innit? And the people at the very top can lie and lie and lie. Free speech, innit? When the left offer no solutions, people will begin to believe the lies of the right. And so what we get is a capricious, bloated, ill-educated, oppressive authoritarian in charge of the world's supposed greatest democracy, with a drunk Fox News host running the military, a world wrestling mogul running education, and the guy that hundreds of health experts say will be a danger to the nation's health in charge of the nation's health. And that's before we've even got to the head of the all-new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE as it's known, which is there to slash government spending, mainly on Medicare and Social Security. By the way, Elon Musk stopped paying his Social Security payments for this year on January the 1st at 12:15 a.m. thanks to the Social Security tax cap. But Musk believes the only reason the American economy is fucked is because of overspending on public services whilst receiving billions in subsidies. Not so much dodge as tax dodge. When you're that rich, the world is your fucking chessboard. And the three people at the very top of the government have more wealth than the bottom half of America, with a massive concentration of ownership and wealth than at any time in our planet's history. America is, as of midday today, a fully fledged tech bro oligarchy, a dangerous plutocracy of unaccountable and untouchable real-life Bond villain billionaires who between them could solve almost all of the world's problems, but instead they've decided to have a race to see who can get to Mars the quickest, whilst paying as little tax as possible. A new set of world leaders that no one voted for, who have more money and power than any company that has ever existed. And of course, Keir Starmer understandably will go cap in hand, hoping to rekindle that special relationship. But my guess is it'll be the sort of special relationship you get when you pick up the soap for a fellow inmate. A new world order. A re-emergence of serfdom, a society where a select few own all the robots and all the money, and everyone else just rots because there aren't any jobs left because the robots have got them. And so the gap between the super rich and the super poor becomes so vast that it is almost like there are two species of human. And a select few will own more money, more power, more data than the rest of the entire world. And at that point, nation states and the role of government and democracy itself becomes obsolete, which sounds terrifying to a snowflake like me. And all because the left have offered no alternative. The Democrats have had a decade to work out how to defeat Trump and the far-right populism, and half of that time they were in power, and they didn't even come close. Well, a chilly day here to say the least, but that doesn't seem to have dampened spirits for the many people who have travelled across the country.